Welcome to Straight from the Source with Hayley Watts, and our guest today is Tod Kimmelshue, District 4 Supervisor for Butte County. Welcome, Tod. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Hayley. Appreciate you having me.
So it's a Tuesday, and you're not sitting in a chambers right now talking about the issues. It's a little bit less frequent during the holiday season?
Yeah, for November and December, we only have one meeting a month.
Yeah.
Typically, we're the second and fourth meeting Tuesdays of every month.
Okay, so how long have you been doing this now?
Well, I'm in my second term,
Okay.
so I had 4 years, and now I've started my second term, and I'm ending my first year, so I'll have 3 more years left.
So when you decided to get into this, did you expect what was ahead of you? I mean, what has surprised you so far through this experience of being a local politician?
Yeah, I think that, we can call them politicians. I like to say public servant,
Okay,
but yeah,
okay.
elected official, whatever you want to say. But the learning curve was very, very steep for the first year, 2 years, because I knew some of the things that the county did, but I didn't realize how extensive what the supervisors do, what the county staff does. I mean, we have 2,500 employees. We have 25 different departments, everything from the agriculture department, which is very small, to behavioral health or public health, which are very large, with budgets of, millions and millions of dollars. We have, of course, law enforcement, which is the sheriff's office. We have CAL FIRE, which is our fire department, which we hire CAL FIRE to run the fire department for the county, which they do a wonderful job. And so it was just, to answer your question, there's a lot that county government does, and nothing against city government,
Right.
but we have so many more things that we do that city government does not
So
do.
you had a lot of homework to do.
Exactly
And you always do, right?
Yes,
You have
yeah.
to stay up with the issues to know what you're weighing in on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything from zoning issues to land use issues to public health issues. I started right when the pandemic was going on, and so our public health department was really under the gun, having to make some very difficult decisions in regards to vaccinations, masking, what businesses could be open, what businesses couldn't. So I was kind of like drinking out of a fire hose when I first started because of the pandemic, and a lot of wild and crazy things were going on then. And, government had to step in and do some things that they really didn't want to do, especially public health, behavioral health to some degree, law enforcement. So that was a difficult time, but I'm glad we're through it.
Can I ask you, do you think that's staying in line with the state Department of Public Health and with state rules under that emergency scenario we were in during the pandemic? Was that what the county did because it was the right thing to do, according to you, or because, hey, we have so much money tied to it, it doesn't really matter, we just gotta not lose the money?
That's a really good question. I know some counties resisted what the state of California asked them to do. We did what the state of California asked us to do. I would say it wasn't tied to the money, and that we were worried about not getting funded from some of the programs because we decided not to do what the state decided or wanted us to do. We did what the state wanted us to do, and I do think it was the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think that, there was some controversies that maybe we shouldn't be doing some of those things, but I think it worked out in the long run. I think we all learned something from the pandemic. I think if we had another pandemic, we would handle it better.
Yeah.
Hopefully we never do, but it was, I think it's something we're gonna look back on in about 10 to 20 years and say, hey, we should have done this or we shouldn't have done that.
Right.
So it was a learning curve for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's all you really can do, right? Is look
Exactly,
back and learn.
yeah.
So it's easy afterwards to see some of the negative impacts of small businesses being hurt
Yes.
from closures and stuff, but we didn't know how bad that thing was going to be.
No,
essentially.
exactly. And we did what we thought was best.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do as a public servant,
Yeah.
is make those decisions. If you're in leadership or if you're in the decision-making process, you get all the information, you get all the data that you possibly can, and you make a decision. And it really shouldn't be based on politics. It should be based on what is best for your community, for
Right.
your county.
Right.
And I think that's where county government and city government, local government, is different than the federal government or the state government. I personally believe there's way too much politics going on at our national level and our state level.
Yeah.
It's kind of what's best for the party. Whereas on our Board of Supervisors, the 5 of us, we're all different. We have conservative, we have moderates, and we
Right.
have a liberal on
Right.
our board. But we all have the same view of doing what's best for the county.
Yeah.
And that is our main objective.
And don't you think it's cool that at least in Butte County and like City of Chico, Gridley, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
we don't put R's and D's next to our public servants'
That's
names.
right.
I can't even imagine what our country would be like if, and like you said, acknowledging like, yeah, so maybe some of you lean more conservative or lean more liberal, but you're not tying yourself to that R or that D.
No, and I think that's very important in local government.
Yeah.
We do things differently than the federal government or the state government. I mean, you cannot go and speak in front of all of Congress, members of Congress. You can't go and speak in front of the state legislature. What you can do is you can come to our meetings, and we have a public comment period, and anybody can get up for 3 minutes and talk about whatever they want to talk about.
Yeah.
And if they're mad at us, they're going to tell us.
Yeah.
If they don't like something we're doing, that's fine. At least they can express their opinion. Or if they like something we're doing, which
Right.
doesn't happen very
Right.
often. I mean, if you're doing things good, you never hear from the public. But I think that's what's great about local government. And really in local government, we can see the fruits of our labor. Whereas if you're in Congress, it's going to have to be some crazy bill or bring some money back to the district before you see something really happen. State
Yeah.
government, same way. But this sounds corny, but if a constituent of mine wants a pothole fixed or a crosswalk painted or a light bulb fixed in a light in your city or your town, we can get that done.
Yeah.
And or bigger things like bridges that need repair or putting gravel or rock or cleaning out a ditch or a stream or a lot of fallen trees will go into the streams. We can get that done.
Right.
So it's kind of corny, but we can see the fruits of our labor. And that's what I like about county government.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Now, one of the things that you probably didn't have to do quite as much educating yourself about is the agriculture component, right? Because I mean, that's your real job, right? Or
Yeah.
your original job as a farmer.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about like growing up farming in Butte County and like some of the challenges you faced.
Yeah, so I grew up in Durham in a family of 5 kids, and my parents were farmers. I always say I kind of grew up in the Leave It to Beaver family. We had a very normal family, great parents, 5 of us. Not a large farm, medium to small farm, I would say, but we all grew up working very hard on the farm, physical labor. And now my brother is the actual farmer. I still own a portion of the farmland, and we all do. All 5 of us are still involved, but my brother's the actual farmer.
Okay.
And I worked as an agricultural lender
Okay.
for a company called Farm Credit for 35 years. And when I retired, I decided to go into public service. But to answer your question about the challenges, I mean, there's always challenges in agriculture,
Yeah.
weather, insects, regulations, prices.
Right.
Farmers are kind of different than most business people. They grow a crop and they sell it to a processor, whether it would be an almond or a walnut or whoever processor, and then you kind of wait to get your money. Most farmers do that. So it's a challenging business, but it's a great business. People that do it love it.
Okay. There are so many new innovations in farming, right?
Yes.
And I'm not sure, because I know you said that your brother was the main one
Yeah.
running the farm itself and you did more of the lending.
Right.
But I'm always so curious about like the things that we're hearing, like soil regeneration, right? Or like regenerative farming in general. Do you think, and then others will say, oh, that's just a political thing. Like it's not even real. You don't need to worry about soil health. Is that a thing?
No, I
soil
mean,
health?
definitely need to worry about soil health.
Yeah.
It's just how different people believe it should be done differently.
Got it.
Regenerative agriculture, there's a place for that, definitely. There's a place for organic agriculture. There's a place for conventional agriculture. The population, just to be the big world view, the population of the world continues to grow. I think we're at 8 billion now, projected to be 9 billion somewhere in the future. But the land that we grow crops on is not changing.
Right.
And so we have to figure out a way to grow as much food to serve these countries, and
Yeah.
not just our own country, but all over the world. And so that takes technology.
Right.
When I was young, I spent most of my summers changing irrigation pipe, a large aluminum pipe, 30 feet long, and that's how we irrigated. Before, even when I was a very young child, it was flood irrigation. Then it went to hand move, what we called sprinkler pipe, which we changed in fields and in orchards. Now it's gone into micro sprinklers and drip irrigation because water is such a precious thing. And that's one of the big jobs that I have as a county supervisor, is overseeing different groundwater districts and flood control districts and things like that. So water in California, first of all, California is the greatest growing region in the world. And I'm not just saying that because I'm from California.
Right.
I mean, it's got the Mediterranean climate. We've got somewhat abundance of water in great soils. So we can grow just about anything here. So anyway, what I'm getting at is farmers have had to adapt over the years, and irrigation is just one of them, and fertilizer and sprays and those kind of things.
So when was Sigma passed?
Sigma was passed in 2014.
And implemented, though, only recently?
Well, it's kind of been implemented over the last 10 years.
Right. And this is the State Groundwater Management Act, right?
Yes.
And so it's one of those things that I think that it affects all of us.
Yes.
But it's kind of difficult for people to understand, especially because it's like we get what a city is or what a county is and who's responsible for that. But what is a sub-basin and this group that manages it? Like, who's the boss with these Sigma groups? And
that's a very good question. I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act of 2014. And I believe it's one of the most significant legislation that's come through the state government probably in the last 50 years, honestly. Because certain parts of California, the aquifers, underground water, were being overdrafted, were being depleted. And agriculture was a big part of that, because we would put wells in, and throughout the state there was really no regulations. Anybody could put a well in and start pumping water.
Yeah.
And in certain parts of the state, luckily not so much up here, but in the southern San Joaquin Valley, there's been subsidence, because believe it or not, that water holds up the soil and the land, and then when you deplete that water, you get subsidence, which causes problems.
And isn't it irreversible too? Like once that happens, you can't.
No, you can't pump.
Yeah.
You can try to fill up those aquifers, but they're actually, the aquifers get a little smaller.
Yeah.
Now this is something that's very difficult, because it's something we can't really see.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat of a new science. But to answer your question about subbasins, the state of California determined where all these subbasins were throughout California. And most of them were in the Central Valley.
Okay.
Some on the coast, but most in the Central Valley. And some up in the mountain regions, but the Central Valley is where most of the land is farmed, and that's where the water is too. And then those subbasins are divided up amongst different county organizations or local organizations. So what the legislation says is that we're going to let the local people determine how they are going to maintain or sustain their groundwater. And so we have a county official on the local, what we call GSA, which is the VINA GSA Groundwater Sustainability Agency.
Right.
It's run by a 5-member board. It's myself. I represent the county. We have a city representative. We have a farming representative. We have a domestic well representative. And we also have another representative from the Durham Irrigation District, which is an irrigation district that provides both ag and mostly residential water to the citizens of Durham. So that's our 5-member board.
Yeah.
And we are charged with maintaining the groundwater and making sure that it is sustainable and that we don't deplete it.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at all kinds of different programs to do that, whether it's regenerating the groundwater, whether it is using more surface water than groundwater. There's all kinds of different things. So we're just kind of in our infancy and putting this together.
So no projects have been implemented yet?
Not yet. We're studying. The state of California gave us a nice grant to study a lot of different projects, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, we don't always agree.
Right.
But I think it's something that we're working on. Whereas in the southern San Joaquin Valley, it's very difficult down there.
Right.
They may have to actually fallow land and not farm it anymore because there's just not enough water.
Right. So people have to pay fees for this.
They do.
And some people don't like that, especially because they don't really understand what they're paying for, and they're saying, well, I'm not paying for a project, I'm just paying for like administrative
That's exactly
costs.
what they're paying for.
But long term, especially if they're a well owner,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It will pay off, you think? Because
Yeah,
we could-
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, we get inundated with fees and taxes, okay? I can tell you right now that the fees that they're paying for the GSA is money well spent because, yes, you're paying for administrative costs to manage the district. And we have a staff that's going to do that. This is another one of the state, people tell you it's one of those state unfunded mandates where the state of California tells you, you have to do this, but guess what? We're not going to give you any money to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what has happened here. So we were charged with figuring out a fee schedule,
Okay.
which was difficult.
Yeah.
And we didn't do it really very well the first time, and we came back with a second plan, and I think this is much more palatable
Yeah.
to most of the people.
Is it by property size? For
It is.
FINA?
It is. Every parcel gets a fee.
Okay.
Okay. Every
If you
parcel.
own a piece of land.
If you own a piece of land
Okay.
in the district.
Yeah, a flat fee.
Yeah, a flat fee.
Okay.
It's like $15 a year or
Okay.
something like that. Then, if you're an irrigator, you pay more.
Okay.
If you're a non-irrigator,
Irrigator, like somebody who grows rice.
yes,
and
thank
they're
you. Yeah,
using
water user, large
Okay,
water
okay.
user, agricultural water user.
Right.
You pay more because
And-
you're the one really benefiting more from SGMA
Got it.
and the regulations and the controls
Okay.
that we're putting on.
So
it.
like a homeowner who's watering the lawn, you don't pay as much as
No,
like the rice
you get a
farmer.
parcel fee.
Got
Yep,
it.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, before we did it, a straight fee across the whole district, and that didn't go well.
Yeah.
That wasn't a great decision.
Yeah.
So, sometimes in government, you don't make the right decision. The citizens told us we don't like it,
Yeah.
and so we backed off. The next year, we implemented a new fee, which is much more palatable to just the homeowner, the 1 acre person,
Yeah.
or the homeowner in Chico. Yes.
Yeah. Now, speaking of water,
Mm-hmm.
do the residents of Butte County benefit in any way from having Lake Oroville there in terms of like access to water, like having that water storage? That's not for us, is it?
Well, it's a good question.
Okay.
Lake Oroville was really built as a flood control mechanism plus water delivery mechanism for the citizens of Southern California.
Yeah.
But also there is some water that goes for agricultural use.
Okay.
So I would say the southern part of the state, southern part of the county benefits from the water in Lake Oroville. They have irrigation districts, mostly rice growers in the area. As you
Okay.
drive through, you see their rice fields flooded. And that water mostly comes from Lake Oroville. So they have a certain amount of rights to the water in Lake Oroville. The county has a certain amount of water in
Yeah.
Lake Oroville that we have the rights to. I will be honest with you and honest to your listeners. We currently sell that water to the city of Palmdale, believe it or not.
Oh.
Yeah, down in Southern California. And we receive a certain amount of money for that. However, that's not a long-term contract. So one of the things SGMA is looking at is how can the county or the citizens of Butte County, the farmers especially, use that water instead of sending it to Palmdale or other cities in Southern California, how can we use it here in Butte County? And we're very interested in doing that.
Yeah.
The trouble is, most of the water that is needed in Butte County is the north of Lake Oroville,
Okay.
Oroville Lake. So how do we get that water uphill to the northern part of the county that grows almonds and walnuts?
Right.
Okay, so we're working on that.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's, water doesn't flow uphill. It flows,
Right.
believe it or not, I mean, when Lake Oroville was built, it's unbelievable engineering feat, how they got the water from Lake Oroville and other reservoirs, but Oroville's the largest, all the way
Right.
down to Southern California. Believe it
Yeah.
or not, it's gravity all the way down
Yeah.
to the Tehachapi Mountains, and then they pump it over the mountains,
Right.
over the Grapevine. The people,
Yeah. When
They
I was a
pump-
kid, because I'm from Southern California, when
yeah.
we drive up the Grapevine, I used to think it was a water slide, like a water park that was,
Yeah.
not that well built.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And so they pump it, believe it or not. And so there's a water contractors in Southern California that use a lot of the water in Lake Oroville. Most of it is, believe it or not, for residential use.
Yeah.
And not a lot of it goes to agriculture. A good portion does, but
Right.
most of that water is used in Southern California. So I always like to say, when we built that project, there was 15 million people in California. Now there's almost 40 million people. So water is precious. We need to use it in a good but conservative way.
Okay. So let's talk about, healthcare, for example. A couple of things. I know that there are a few things up and coming in the Gridley area when it comes to like inpatient facilities. Did you hear Oroville Hospital just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy? Do you think that I know that's within the city of Oroville, but it is within the county, and it is a resource our county needs and relies on. I mean, do you think there's any scenario where someone doesn't take it over?
No, I've taken tours of the new Oroville Hospital. It's about 85% completed.
Yeah.
And it is an incredibly beautiful, state-of-the-art hospital. Unfortunately, and I don't know all the situation behind the financing for that hospital, but it kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they probably filed for bankruptcy. I guess they did. So, which means I think a bit bigger healthcare institution will, I'm sure, come in and purchase it. I just can't believe they would leave that 85% finished.
Right.
And so, I think we would encourage someone to come in and do that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're in negotiations already with certain healthcare providers in the country, in the state, to take that on. So
we know that there's a need.
There's absolutely a need because especially, everybody's heard about the rural hospitals having a hard time, and we have a rural hospital in Gridley.
Yeah.
Our neighboring counties like Willows and Colusa have rural hospitals that need to be maintained.
Right.
But I mean, if we had one in Oroville, which would serve a lot of the South County residents, we would have, Inlow is a fantastic resource for us in Northern California. So, but rural hospitals are important to at least get people in there on an emergency basis, stabilize them, and then decide where they should send them.
Yeah, okay. So speaking of like Gridley area, another thing that comes to mind is like, especially with Gridley and Biggs and the law enforcement situation.
Yes.
Can you get me up to speed? Because I know that at one point, Gridley was covering Biggs, and then it was like, is the sheriff's office maybe gonna take over?
That's a good question. Okay, there's 5 incorporated cities in Butte County. We have the county that runs the unincorporated areas, but we have Chico, Oroville, Paradise, Gridley, and Biggs. Biggs is a very small city, which doesn't have its own police department. So they have been vacillating, going back and forth between having the city of Gridley be their police department or the sheriff's office being their police department. So up until about a year ago, the sheriff was their police department and law enforcement. And now they have switched over to the city of Gridley again. So Gridley Police Department is providing law enforcement for Biggs.
Yeah, okay. And so presumably, I know if it's the county sheriffs, that's more your purview than with the city.
Yeah, they would they contract with the city of Gridley, or they contract with Butte County.
Yeah, okay. What do you think some of the major public safety issues are in that area?
Well, yeah, I think it's no different than any other community. It's just theft, it's burglary, it's maybe some domestic violence, things of that nature. There is somewhat of a gang element in the Biggs Gridley area, but not to the degree that we're overly concerned about it, but we're aware of it.
Yeah.
So I would say those are the major issues.
Yeah.
I mean, fire is almost more important, not more important, but it's just as important as law enforcement in those communities.
And when you say fire, you mean wildfire, right?
Wildfire, but fire protection too.
Yeah.
So CAL FIRE actually is the fire department for both Gridley and Biggs as well. So CAL FIRE covers all of Butte County with the exception of City of Chico.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so the City of Chico has their own fire department, but CAL FIRE covers the rest of the county. And, they're expensive.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. To contract with CAL FIRE, they're expensive, but they do a fantastic job. And the fact that they cover all of Butte County, it's easy to work with them.
Yeah.
If there's an issue in Biggs or if there's an issue in Oroville, we can work with them, and we have a real presence in Butte County, and I really respect those folks that do a great job.
The only problem with it is that the titles for when we interview them in one position versus another, my reporters are always getting it wrong. Is it the Butte County Fire Department today, or is it the?
I just say it's CAL FIRE.
Yeah, CAL FIRE,
it's just
Right. People get the
It
gist.
is what it is.
Now, there are some new rules in place, right, under the state in terms of defensible space for people at their homes. I know I've been
yes.
hearing about like Zone 0, but it's kind of like a slow rollout, right?
Yes, exactly right. You know, people that live, especially in the wooded areas of the county, need to have defensible space
Yeah.
around their houses. Not a lot of bushes, not
Right.
a lot of landscaping that could catch fire.
Yeah.
You know, that was one of the issues with the fire in Paradise, the campfire, was that, you know, pine needles were all over the houses,
Yeah.
in the gutters, up and by the roof, and things of that nature. Trees right next to the house, and so it was very hard to defend your home.
Right.
So now, if there's defensible space around the homes, again, it's not something that we like, is a lot of state requirements on what you do with your home, or how you built your home, or what the materials are that you build your home with, but really it's for the safety of the individuals.
Now, it's like you said, this is more rural areas, right? Because when I'm looking at like neighborhoods around Chico, right? People don't have defensible space to the point where, yeah, sure, it's a paved road and it's a concrete driveway, but there's trees, there's bushes, there are wooden fences going right up to the building. And technically, it looks pretty, it looks well manicured, but that is a greater fire risk, right?
Well, sure it is. I mean, we're not worried so much about the cities or residential areas, true residential areas. We're
Yeah.
more concerned about people that live in the wooded areas that are more susceptible to fire. And so that's why a defensible space around your home,
Yeah.
around your buildings, is so important.
So people, though, who live in the more rural areas, right, and they have these new rules, is there also like grant funding to help them out? Because it's expensive.
You know, I'm not aware of grant funding, but there could be, and I should know the answer to that, but I don't.
Yeah.
But when they build a home now, a new home, like all the new homes that are built in Paradise and Concow, the places that were burnt, are required to have that space and are required to use certain materials on their home that are less flammable.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of the things that came up recently for Butte County supervisors that was kind of controversial was the pay raise, right? And just to explain that, basically it just got the county up to the state standard, essentially?
Well, every county pays their supervisor differently.
Okay.
We were towards the bottom of being paid. And,
Yeah.
and just let me say, that's not why I do the job. Okay, that's
Right.
not why
I
any
don't-
of us do
yeah.
the job. Okay, we're doing it because we're public servants. But over the last probably 30 years, the job has evolved into something that's much more of a full-time job than it was 30 years ago. And so our rationale about giving ourselves a pay raise, now whether people believe this or not, it's the supervisors, believe it or not, did not initiate the pay raise. It was our administrative office, our chief administrative officer who did that. And he felt that in order to entice people to leave their job as an anchor person, as a teacher, as a plumber, as a, anything you're doing, you need, and to be a supervisor, you needed to have a living wage,
Yeah.
a wage that was very good. And so that's what we've done. We've increased it. We are paid now, to be honest with you, the same as a state legislator.
Okay.
Okay, and we are, when they get a raise, we'll get a raise. Or if they get a cut in pay, we get a cut in pay. We're tied to the state of California. We no longer have the ability to give ourselves a raise.
Okay.
It's what
Yeah.
happens at for the assembly and for the state senators.
And the benefit would be greater representation because more people are able to take on the job.
Yeah, and what our chief administrative officer said, if you guys approve this, you may have more competition in your next
Yeah.
election because people are saying, you know what? I can leave my job as a school teacher or, a banker or
Yeah.
whatever, and I'm going to run for county supervisor, and I'll just quit my other job or put my other job on hold for the time being,
Right.
and I'll still be able to make enough money and have benefits for my family
Yeah.
to serve my community.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it goes next. Are you going to run again?
Well, that's 3 years away, so
Wait,
we'll
the
see.
campaign doesn't start the day
Right,
after you
right,
get elected?
exactly,
I thought that's all it was.
Yeah, I know.
Campaigning. No.
Well, hopefully in local government, that's
Yeah.
not the way it is.
Yes,
so,
we would
yeah,
hope so.
exactly.
So have you seen the new jail? What do you think? It's almost ready.
I have not taken a tour of it
Okay.
yet. I've been through the old jail or the existing jail several times. Personally, I think every high school senior should have to go through that jail.
Do you remember that show Scared Straight?
Yes, yes. I mean, I will tell you, it's not a place where I want to be. And I really admire the correctional deputies that do work in that jail on a day-to-day basis. They are special people to do that. Yes, we have expanded the jail because the county, again, the state of California has decided that the county should incarcerate more people than they used to, and the state is closing prisons so they don't have to. So unfortunately, we have some pretty hardened criminals in that jail, but it's a state-of-the-art jail. Obviously, it's run by Corey Honey, our sheriff, who does a wonderful job. And so, I have not been through it, but I will before it is completed.
What are your thoughts on the prison realignment and the state that counties are in with, incarcerating more people, as you put it?
It's not fair. It's definitely not fair. I mean, these are criminals that should be in state penitentiaries. Unfortunately, the state of California is in such a budget crunch, and I'm not going to go into why that is, or it's just unfortunate that their priorities are different than they should be at the state level, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as counties are concerned. So we basically have to do, for the most part, not every county believes this, but for the most part, we have to do what the state of California wants us to do.
Right.
They will provide funds for the jail. It wasn't Butte County taxpayers just paying for the jail. It was money from the whole state of California. But we have to run it.
So aside from having to run it, right? But theoretically, it's like, okay, the bad people are inside this big building. For just the everyday person on the street, how could that negatively affect them?
I don't think it's going to negatively affect anybody on the street. I think it's actually an employer. It's a decent employer. In fact, one of the things that we did recently in a recent election, and everybody knows this, is that we had a vote to increase the sales tax in Butte County by 1 cent. Okay, or 1%, whatever you want to say. And that one of those funds will go to provide employees for the jail. So it will be, I mean, if you want to work in law enforcement, it's a good occupation. I mean, if you want to work in the jail, which is very challenging. But to answer your question, the person on the street, it's not going to have much effect on them.
It's not like people are being brought in and they're going to be released into our community who weren't initially there. These are people who were already in our community
for the most part,
paying their time and being released back into their own home.
I mean, that's going to happen in any county seat where there is a prison. We do, when they get out, they get a bus ticket and they get to go wherever. And so that's what we do when we let them out. I probably shouldn't say much more than that. When you interview the sheriff, he can give you more details on that. But unfortunately, it's a part of our community that we have to have. And just so people know, it's not for the homeless people. There's no room for them there. And the folks on the street that may need assistance in different ways, whether it's addiction help or mental help, they're going to be hopefully going into other programs. And we're putting together some facilities for mental health in Butte County, one in Chico. It's going to be a 40-bed locked facility for mental health folks that have a real disease and may be a threat to society. So we're going to have that. And there's a youth facility being built in Gridley.
Would that first one that you mentioned be staffed like in coordination with Sheriff's Office?
No, it'll be staffed by the Department of Behavioral Health. Which we get money from the state of California to do that, but we have to run it. But
are you worried, like if it needs to be locked, are you worried that these people could be dangerous?
Sure. I mean, that's why it's a locked facility. Dangerous to others, but dangerous to themselves as well. And so it's something that will be managed very well. I'm not worried about that at all. Our behavioral health department is excellent, and so they'll do what's best. Again, it's most important for people to realize that public, for us in public service, our job is to make sure, the number one job is to make sure that people are safe.
Yeah.
And that's top priority. That's why we prioritize law enforcement, fire, probation department, district attorneys. Those are our top priorities for the funds that we have the ability to use in different ways, but also public health, behavioral health, all those have child protective services, all those departments are put in place to keep people safe.
Okay. Do you have any insight into Mission Esperanza? It's funny because we always reach out to them because I know that they just expanded. They have like a pallet shelter thing. They don't really seem to want to be too public. They don't want to speak with our
and
reporters.
that's the one in Oroville, correct?
Yeah.
Actually, it's very similar to what we call Genesis or the pallet shelter.
Yeah.
They have the same arrangements over there in Oroville, and I was over there for the grand opening, and actually Butte County supplied $500,000, $500,000 to help purchase those pallet shelters. But to be honest with you, I have not had much to do with them or contact with them since the opening.
Homelessness is not too big of an issue in your particular district, right?
Not to any degree. There's some in the Gridley area, but my district is mostly south, a portion of South Chico, and then it goes all the way down to the county line. So it's Durham, Richvale, Biggs, Gridley, and a portion of Thermalito. I share Thermalito with my colleague, Bill Connolly.
So a lot of agriculture in your district.
Mine is the major agricultural district.
What do you think about, and I wish I had read up on this better, but yesterday President Trump signed something, I believe it was the Farm Bill, right? Advancing?
Well, it's assistance for farmers because of some of the tariffs that he has put in place. Mostly it's for Midwestern farmers. It's not much for out here.
Because we don't do a lot of trading specifically with China, do we?
We do. Actually, many of our nut products go to China and to the Asian communities, the Asian countries. And so there have been tariffs on many of those, and so it has affected our growers. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
I don't know enough about the 13 or 14 or 16 billion dollars that he put forth, how much that will come to California. I think most of that is like for soybean farmers in the Midwest, because China used to be the largest buyer of all our soybeans.
Yeah.
And the problem arises is when you put a tariff on their products, they do a retaliatory tariff on our products that we send to them. And unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, other countries in the world grow soybeans as well.
Right.
Brazil, South America, countries do. And so China will just go down there and buy it without a tariff.
Yeah.
And so our farmers in this country have been hurt because of the tariffs.
Right. Are there any upsides that you could see for the average consumer to buy, like for me, buying almonds not from Butte County?
Well, I mean, all the almonds that are grown are in California. I mean, California grows 85% of the world's almonds or almonds, however you want to call it. And so when you buy them in the store, they're grown for California. We don't import any almonds.
Okay.
Yeah, or walnuts.
Yeah.
And mostly the products we grow here are not necessarily imported. There's some like, olives. Some olives may be imported, but not a lot.
Yeah.
So most of the fruits and vegetables that you see in the store are grown in California.
Yeah. Okay. So we're back on agriculture again,
Sure.
and I'm always fascinated with this, especially just as a consumer, because that's how we stay alive, right? Is eating food. So you hear a lot about like organic versus just buy traditionally grown produce and then wash it. Right? I mean, and then I've heard some people say, well, all the chemicals that they use in organic farming they have their own problems. They just haven't really been discovered yet. I mean, do you think it's worth it to buy organic? Does washing produce really get the pesticides and all that stuff off?
Yeah. One thing I think everybody needs to know is California produces the most abundant, safest food supply in the world. We are so regulated. by the federal government, by the state government, even our county ag commissioner does a lot of investigation into what is put on the crops and when it's put on the crops.
Yeah.
It's safe. Now, if you don't believe that, that's fine, because there is a place for organic agriculture. There certainly is. And if people want to buy organic produce, I say go for it. If that's what you want to do. Also, I just need to say is that anything that's in the store that's grown in California is safe.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, if you want to wash it, that's fine. But it is safe. It's safe to eat. We do not produce, that's our business. Why would we produce a crop that could be detrimental to someone?
Well, maybe you're in cahoots with Big Pharma and you want us all to get cancer.
Well, I hope not.
I mean, there's so much out there, right? And it's
Yes.
like the echo chamber of the internet. And you hear these things and you're like, I don't know what to believe in
No,
anymore.
and that's the problem so much with social media and the internet. But like I said, you can feel very safe if it's grown in California. Now, if it says it's grown in Mexico or if it's grown in some other foreign country, they do not have the same criteria and regulations that we do to grow these crops.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your favorite California grown foods?
Well, there's 400 different products that are grown in California commercially.
Okay.
Yeah, lately my wife and I have been eating dates, a lot of dates from, down in the Palm Springs area. I like all the fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And I eat nuts every day, pretty much. And I actually have, at my age, I eat prunes too.
Okay.
So, so all these things, they're great fruits and vegetables. I have a son that lives in Iowa and works in the agricultural industry in Iowa. And you can go in their supermarkets and they just don't have the same produce that we do.
I've noticed that so many places in the world where I travel is just that supermarkets are mostly packaged processed.
Yes, exactly right.
Or canned vegetables.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Which are fine. I mean, if you want to eat them, but if you have the ability to buy fresh and cook it at home, I mean, it's just such a great thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a big cheerleader for California.
Yeah.
And especially for Butte County. I always say I think Butte County is the greatest county in the state of California. All the things that we have here, we have recreation, we have the largest dam and water project, we have a fantastic university here in our community, in our county. We have a great hospital, maybe 2 great hospitals for health care. The standard of living isn't quite as high, although it's expensive. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I just think we have small towns, we have medium-sized cities. Butte County is just a fantastic place to live. It's close to the mountains, it's close to the ocean. You're close to San Francisco and Sacramento if you want to go down there. So it's a fantastic area.
Yeah.
It really is.
What do you love to do around here when you have time off?
My wife and I play golf, and so we play golf on weekends when we have the ability to do that, but also traveling, we'll go up to the mountains.
Yeah.
We get over to the coast once in a while, but we're pretty much homebodies. We're here. I try to go to a lot of the festivals and things that are going on in my district and throughout Butte County. Festivals, fairs, gatherings. Every little town has a tree lighting ceremony. Even Richville, if people that travel through Richville, they have the star that lights up. They have a night that they light the star up and things of that nature. So I love the small towns, the small communities, and what they bring to this area.
So we talked a lot about different things that I thought were pretty important, but you've been at this for a few years, another 3 years in your term. Is there something that you are really hoping to get across the finish line before your term is over?
You bet. I'm glad you brought that up because it's not really in my district, but it affects my district, and that is those of you that live in Chico. There's a flood control device at the 5-mile recreation area, and people need to be aware of this. It was a device that was designed by the Corps of Engineers, the Federal Corps of Engineers, at the same time with the same money that came to build Lake Oroville and Oroville Dam. And it was a device to take water at high levels, flood control device, to divert the water into Lindo Channel and into Mud Creek. People that live in Chico or in the area will know those 2 waterways. Unfortunately, in about 2001, it used to get cleaned out every year. So it was built in the 60s, and they would clean it out every year to make sure it worked correctly.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the Department of Fish and Wildlife decided in the early 2000s that we shouldn't clean that out anymore because it could be bad for fish habitat or fish, migration up Big Chico Creek. So it, believe it or not, is overrun, overfilled up with sediment and rocks and gravel to the tune of about 100 tons that needs to be out of there. And so we are working with the Corps of Engineers, with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, with the Department of, to the water departments in California to get that cleaned out. And so it's been quite a battle to get that done. So people need to be aware of that. The reason I say that is because in high water years, if that's not working correctly, it could overtop that area in 5 Mile and flood a lot of Chico.
Okay,
so
but there is something in the works, right? I've seen little steps
we did some work down there. The Department of Water Resources allowed us to get in there, and Department of Fish and Wildlife to move some gravel around, not really to take a lot out, but a lot needs to be taken out.
Okay.
And so that's what we're working on to make it back to its normal state so it works.
Is there anything that the normal person who lives in that community and really wants to see this happen before it's too late, anything that they can do?
They can contact their legislator, or they can contact the Fish and Wildlife or Department of Water Resources and just and watch it. Watch what's going on. Support your local county government too.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, Tod Kimmelshue, thank you so much for being here.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. All right.
Thanks for listening today. I decided to offer this podcast after enough of you let me know that you wanted a deeper dive into certain stories than you get on our TV broadcasts. We elect certain people to represent our voice, but who are they really? My hope is that this podcast answers that question. I love your feedback, and I want to know who you'd like to hear from next. Just fill out that comment section and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify.